No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show with Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg. I'm your host, Drew Mandel, back in Winnipeg. I've been awake since 4:30 in the morning. I'm fired up. Let's have some fun. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show presented by Play Now, here to talk about the Jets. Ho-hum, yet another victory on home ice, 3-0 over the Nashville Predators. Gentlemen, my main takeaway, good to see you both, of course, but my main takeaway from tonight's game is the Predators do not have a late season unexpected playoff run in them this year. They are...
I'm not taking that bet, Drew. I did it last year with the Oilers. I'm not taking that bet this year.
Yeah, do not take that bet. I mean, full marks to the Winnipeg Jets, full marks to Connor Hellebuyck, yet another shutout. But the Nashville Predators certainly are not a very good team. Took the Jets a little bit of time. I didn't think the Jets had their A game tonight, but they did what a good hockey team does, which is they take control. They get a lead when they get the opportunity, an unexpected one off the stick of Dylan DeMello. We'll get to that in the Play Now game recap. And then Nashville decided to make a whole bunch of mistakes at a really inopportune time, and the Jets made them pay. And that's what good teams do, is they make their opponents pay for mistakes like that. Great to see you guys. Great to be back in Winnipeg. Great to see everybody the day before New Year's Eve. So happy New Year's Eve to everybody.
It's good to have you back, Drew. And we have to start off by saying that Logan Stanley is on a 2-game point streak, boy.
He is.
And obviously, he's not who you would expect to see on the second pair, but with the injuries to Dylan Samberg and Hayden Fleury, here we are. And Logan Stanley arguably having his best game of the year tonight. And yeah, it was like, guys, after Dylan DeMello put the Jets up 1-0, it was like, all the air was sucked out of the Nashville Predators game, because that third period, the Jets just went into shutdown mode and the Predators just didn't have a lot. And, you look at this Predators team and everybody knows the acquisitions they made: Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, Brady Shea. Obviously, Stamkos and Marchessault were the bigger ones.
Well, paying Brady Shea a hell of a lot of money, though.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But you've still got Philip Forsberg there. You've still got Ryan O'Reilly. These were players that were there last year. Roman Josi on the back end. I don't care what anybody says, boys. Roman Josi, to me, is still a top 10 defenseman in the league. And you've got UC Saros, one of the best goalies, even though his numbers haven't been as good as you would expect, right? So you're looking at this Predators team, and the way I would describe this Predators team is they just seem to be looking for an identity, right? You watch them play tonight, and there's some physicality, right? Obviously, Luke Shen, they mentioned that on the broadcast, top 5 all-time in hits. Michael McCarron, Jeremy Lauzon, who likes to take a penalty every 5 minutes, apparently.
Hat-trick of penalties for Jeremy Lauzon tonight.
It's crazy, and the Jets are going to take it, right? But it's a team that I think not only lacks an identity, but they lack that killer instinct. They just don't look like the Predators that we've been used to seeing year after year. Drew mentioned last year they had the late season run. It's not happening this year, guys. They're too far back. They're second last in the Central. It's just not happening. And again, they kept giving. They got into penalty trouble. I just thought they looked slow at times. That defense, even though you've got Roman Josi there, and even though you've got Brady Shea there, and I'll be honest, I was a little bit impressed by Nick Blankenburg. But it's not the greatest group of defensemen, and it's just not a very deep team, right? Obviously Stamkos and Marchessault, they were noticeable earlier in the game on the power play, but as that game went on, guys, you could barely tell Stamkos and Marchessault were in the lineup.
Well, what stood out to me the most about Nashville, watching Nashville tonight, Dave, because for a lot of the game, maybe not a lot of game, but, early in the first period, they were certainly the team that had the more of the jump, and they had some opportunities. They had some zone time, versus the Jets, certainly the first, a lot of the first of the 10 minutes of the game, even, into the second period, they had zone time, pardon me, but every time that they were in a shooting position and they had an opportunity to take a shot, their shots were just right into Connor Hellebuck. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Connor Hellebuck because that's just how good he is.
Mhm.
It's like Nashville has no goal scoring touch. We know they're dead last in the NHL in goal scoring. It just seemed that their shots were just right into the emblem of Connor Hellebuck all game long.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And when I was looking at natural stat trick, Drew, the high danger chances for both teams, I mean, it was like expected goals was like 0.099 or something. It was bad. It wasn't good. And neither team had a lot of high danger. I think it was like 3-2 in the first, or maybe the first 30 minutes. So it was not a lot of, there were not a lot of golden.
Preds had 4 overall, Dave, at even.
Yeah, there were not a lot of grade A.
3 of those came in the first period.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, there were not a lot of grade A's for Nashville for sure. Winnipeg, even early on, we know they started to take advantage of it a little bit later. But yeah, no, I mean, there's no question about it that this Nashville team, I mean, I was in the building for the first 2 periods and I'm watching them. And remember, the Jets got defeated by Nashville when they were coming in on the second game of back-to-back, flying from Pittsburgh to Nashville. And again, not super onerous, but still they were playing a back-to-back. Now I just kept expecting, I'm like, hey, what are we not seeing? And you're right. I watched Stamkos. I'm like, what has he done? Marchessault, what has he done? Even Philip Forsberg, who is a phenomenally talented player. I didn't notice him other than the one attempt that he had
a decent scoring chance in the first.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to mention. The one scoring chance in the first is where he launched it over Connor Hellebuck by about a mile. So like their players are just, again, like I said, and there's a lot of good there's some guys who have worked hard to, make it from the Milwaukee Admirals. But you look at Nashville and they just don't got it going on. And it's unfortunate for them because, like I said, they've committed to this bunch for a long time. And so, I mean, if you're a Jets fan, you're not upset about it. You're happy that Nashville is going to struggle, except for that one fan. I don't know. Again, I'm sitting in the press box, boys, and I'm watching the televisions they've got above where we sit, and they've showed this one fan who's wearing a split Jets Predators jersey, and I posted it on
Trott's family member.
That's what I thought. That was going to be my guess. Maybe he's from Dauphin, Manitoba.
That's the only explanation.
But I couldn't figure out exactly what the thought process was, especially given the playoff disdain for each other between these two teams. And there were a lot of people who mentioned to me on social media that they'd like to rip that jersey off that guy's off of his back and burn it. So I thought that was a little unusual.
Can I throw in a hot take, Dave M? I hate those jerseys in general. Like any jersey that's half. I'm not a fan of. I'm just going to put that out there right now. I'm not a fan of half jerseys.
Well, except
wear a jersey. Like if you're cheering for the Jets, wear a Jets jersey. If you're cheering for the Preds, wear a Preds jersey. Like you'd never see Drew wearing half of a Kentucky sweatshirt and half of an Alabama sweatshirt.
But hold on, but hold on. But remember, that could have been a member of the Barron family. And, Morgan Barron on the Jets, Justin Barron on the Predators. So I'm not saying it was, but I'm saying in theory it could be. And for example, I remember Drew Miller.
Mothers get an exception.
I was going to say Drew Miller and Ryan Miller's mom, when they would play in Detroit, they'd wear half Red Wings. She'd wear half Red Wings, half Sabres jersey.
I still don't like it. Pick a kid and cheer for that kid.
There you go, Ezzy.
Pick your favorite.
We'll be sure to let your children know that Daddy's got a favorite, and then it's up to
them. I definitely have
a favorite.
Anyways, and for the record, there's also a lot of international flavor that we noticed in the arena. I don't know if they showed it on TV. There was someone from Korea, someone from New Zealand, Ezzy, and someone from Australia. So Winnipeg. And
all
for the
of
record,
them illegal curve regulars.
Yes.
Hopefully, hopefully they're in the chat.
But them all together.
But I will say, and I like to see that there's already this many people in the show already, and we're just getting things started because it was just to be, people like to poo-poo the Jets, but Monday night, I know it's the holiday season, great crowd, sold out, 6th sellout of the season, and as Mike McIntyre, what?
Three sellouts of the last 4.
Yeah, but as Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press informed me, last year the Jets they had 10 sellouts total, but the majority they started with that Chicago game at the end around Christmas time, and then they had 10. So the Jets already have 6 to date. So the crowd is building back up, and it was a good crowd. It was a lively crowd, which is good because, as I said to Judy Owen of the Canadian Press, who sits beside us, this was a tight game for the first 30 minutes. It wasn't giving fans a lot of excitement.
Oh, no, the first 30 minutes of this game, to your point there, Dave, I was thinking, how much did Amazon pay for this game for the right to be able to broadcast this game? Because as I continue to choke. It's going to be a struggle for me to get through this one.
This is
but,
great, Drew. Drew, just mute yourself. Ezzy and I'll just keep talking.
I'm feeling it. I'm hurt.
Okay, well, I'll just
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the one last thing I'll say, because we should mention, because when we're in the building and I'm watching the lineup, Ezzy, no Mason Appleton, and he didn't skate the last 2 days. So that was kind of maybe a little bit of a tell. We should have probably, but it was an optional this morning. And an optional yesterday. So that's, why it wasn't super obvious. Mason Appleton, he wasn't out for warmup. So we'll probably get an update from head coach Scott Arneal as to what his status is. The team did announce that they recalled Dominic Tonnato before, because of course they'll need an extra forward when they go to Colorado. They're going to Colorado tonight. Yeah. And of course, Ville Heinola doesn't play. Dylan Coghlan plays his second game. So a few lineup changes. But I remember when I put out the tweet, because nobody was really there in the press box. Everybody was, I guess, upstairs eating. So I was like, just so you know, these are the lines, but don't shoot the messenger.
Here's Scott Arneal for Winnipeg Jets head coach.
Obviously, a big moment in the game was the too many men penalty there. You guys have the 5-on-4. We asked Gabe if he noticed it. He said he sort of thought it was odd that they had a guy on so quickly. You see that obviously from the bench, right? Ended up being a very big moment.
That one wasn't even close. Obviously, all their guys were down in tight in their end. It wasn't like a guy just jumped on and jumped off back on the bench. So I think that was a pretty easy one for the refs.
First couple power plays you guys had, you saw that aggression that you talked about this morning from Nashville. Obviously, having 5-on-3 changes a lot, but did you guys maybe make some adjustments on both the 5-on-3 and then to score again on the 5-on-4?
I think you're always doing that in game. Even after our first one, you're trying to find that hole. You're trying to find that one lane that they're going to maybe leave open because of their pressure. But that's the number one PK in the league, and you see why they do come and hatch you hard, and they're in unison. We did have some good looks actually in the other power plays even before the third period. So there were some opportunities there, but at the end of the day, just like the way our group doesn't get rattled. Just kind of stay in it, wait for their opportunities, and obviously took advantage of the 5-on-3, which was big.
So Gabe Vilardi makes it look so easy, kind of standing where he does and scoring, pretty much from the doorstep. But that's not easy. If it was, everybody would do that. That's just another example tonight of just what an asset he is, kind of in that spot right now.
Yeah, we talked a lot about KC and Scheif, and I keep reminding everybody there's a third guy on that line, and whether that's 5-on-5 or in the power play, he's a big body guy that has some great hands on him, and he doesn't stray too far away from that net, and doesn't need much time, and it doesn't take much. They just get it close to his blade, and he's going to usually get a shot off.
We talk a lot about the prolific goal scorers on your team. We don't talk about Dylan DeMello necessarily, but when he gets that goal, you can kind of see the bench lights up. The guys in the room were talking about just what that no doubt injects some energy and excitement, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was the guy scoring last year. He had a bunch there. So, that was great for him to come in that weak side. Great play by Barron to find him. We've talked about all year getting different people chipping in and helping offensively, and we saw that got rewarded tonight on it. There's a few other times where some of our other lines had some real good looks that we didn't get to put away, but that's great. Your defense can be a part of that offense. That's big.
Sorry, did you talk yet about Scheif getting the stick? Okay, just when you see your star players doing those kind of hustle plays that immediately turn things around, you can see the correlation between busting your butt to get that puck back and it turning into a goal. What does it mean to get that out of the very best players on your team?
Well, we've talked about the buy-in from everybody. It isn't just your checkers. It has to be everybody, and I saw it tonight. I saw all four lines, guys pouring back. We knew they had a good transition game. They had a good rush game. We knew that their defense were going to be Shea and Yossi, and their D were always going to be coming. There was a bunch of times. I think there was 3 examples in the second period where we tracked back and we picked it off before our blue line. That's all stuff that second effort. And we talk about defending. Defending isn't just in our end of the rink; it's in all 3 zones. And when we're on, we make it hard for other teams to get their games going, and it can be frustrating for the opposition. And that's what we try to do.
So I'm glad you said that. I'll try this question again. I'll ask Gabe about kind of the frustration that you create in other teams. I'm sure there's a point tonight where you guys aren't getting the power play responses that you want until the end of the game. But I don't remember seeing the body language of your team or in their play or falling out of their structure. I don't remember seeing the frustration kind of take over your team or them like kind of indulge in it and go in the wrong direction. What's kept this team from being that team that doesn't
We've never been that way. We've always been about 60-minute games or 65. It has to go that long, but it's a mindset that you just stick with what we're doing. They believe in how we play. They believe in our structure and our systems. They know that if we do it correctly and if we do it together as a team, that chances will come, the momentum will build, the opposition will bend and break, hopefully, and that's kind of what we saw tonight. I thought the first period was back and forth. I thought that both teams, they were really doing a good job of staying above us. They weren't letting us have a rush game. They weren't going to open it up, and we just stuck with it. They made a mistake, and we jumped on it and got the DeMello goal, and then obviously they made some mistakes in the third on the penalties, and that's just our group. Our group doesn't get too fazed by things, and they stay in the moment.
I remember when Montreal came here, one of their reporters asked you about Connor Hellebuck, and the question was something along the lines of, do you guys rely on him too much? I remember your response was, you're not giving the team credit for what they do for him. And we were just talking with him, and he talked about the predictability factor that he has a real good understanding of where the shots are going to come from. I wondered if you could just like color in for the layman what it looks like, what we're seeing your team do that makes Connor Hellebuck, despite the fact he has a volume of shots, that makes his job easier and more predictable.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to really deny a team that wants to shoot the puck every time it gets on their stick, if it's from the corners, if it's from the walls. What we talk about, and you hear me say it often, is the guts of the ice. If Helly knows that the guts of the ice are being protected, he can handle all the other stuff. And there's going to be breakdowns. There's going to be a 2-on-1. There's going to be things where he has to step up and make those big saves. And obviously he does. But we really, really try to limit how much gets the high danger, the high quality stuff that comes at him. And that's the guts of the ice. And I think that that's been our motto over the last few years, is that we don't let teams get in there. We don't let them get quality in there. And if the stuff's coming, it's coming from the flanks.
Just a quick housekeeping one, Scott. Mason Appleton, sick or injury? Or?
No, he's week to week. He got banged up there, so he got banged up a couple games ago. Played last game. It got a little bit worse, so he's week to week now.
Okay, and I know Billy didn't skate this morning, but he was out there in the warm-up. Like, is there any? Would he have been a healthy scratch, or is he one of the guys that?
Yeah, no, he's good. He's fine. I just part of that getting cogs in, and it just like I said, I'm gonna try to get these guys all in because of the fact that every time we just look like we're getting healthy, somebody goes down. So it's just cogs needed to play. Got to get him. I thought he played really well tonight too. So just kind of getting everybody in there.
Did you ask him about Cogs, the game? Like, what'd your take on?
Yeah, I liked a lot of what he did. Yeah. Obviously had to come in and play the left side. He has played there before. He's had experience there, and liked a lot of what he did. I think that he kept it simple first and foremost, and that kind of led to a solid game. Thank you. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Thank you.
See you guys in the morning. Happy New Year.
Drew, you're muted.
I was just speaking very eloquently, but I was muted. I was saying there was Scott Arneal here on the Illegal Curve post-game show presented by Play Now. The big news out of the press conference, Mason Appleton, we knew he was a late scratch in tonight's game. It's a week-to-week situation, so the Jets are going to be down another body. They continue to be, getting a little bit of the taste of the injury bug, which is always going to happen at different points in time for each team. It appears as though the Jets are in the midst of one. Mason Appleton, he'll be out of the lineup week to week. Presumably that'll mean that Alex Iafallo will get the bump up into that third line where he played today with Nino Niederreiter and with Adam Lowry. And then I assume that gives some more time for David Gustafsson and Rasmus Kupari on that fourth line with Morgan Barron. I actually thought they had a pretty good game. Morgan Barron in particular, I thought was as noticeable tonight as I've seen him for a lot of games. Obviously he gets the primary assist on the Dylan DeMello goal, which we'll get into momentarily here. But there were a couple other shifts where I thought he was noticeable and set up Vlad Nemesnikov, if I recall correctly, for a good opportunity on the shorthanded one, unless that might have been Alex Iafallo, now that I rethink it. But in any event, that's the news coming out of Scott Arneal. Mason Appleton now out week to week.
Yeah, and just, sorry guys, there's a bit of a power surge here in St. James. I'm not sure what happened there. My internet went down for about 90 or 120 seconds. Have some water there, Drew. Yeah, Drew's not looking as sharp as he once was. He's struggling with that Kentucky flu, I guess. But yeah, just that Morgan Barron stat line. He played just over 9 minutes, had the assist, obviously, had a couple of hits and a takeaway. And obviously, Dave, Morgan Barron would like to have more goals this year, right? Like he's not putting the puck in the net like he would like. But I agree with you, Drew. That was his best game in a while. So you like to see that. And I thought, I'm not sure if you guys touched on it however long I was away there, but what's kind of stood out to me was the question by Mike McIntyre to Scott Arneal about the power play and how they didn't score on the first 3 opportunities, and they really didn't let that phase them. And they obviously, scored a couple goals on the 5-on-3. Like, just shows you, that power play just continues to be just an absolute weapon for this team. And that was the game, right? I mean, it's a 1-goal game, even though Nashville wasn't exactly putting up the biggest pushback. But I think even though they didn't score in the first 3 opportunities, they had looks. And again, Nashville's going to give you that many opportunities to score on the power play. The Jets are eventually going to take advantage of it, and they did.
Especially when you give up a 5-on-3. I mean, that's inexcusable. I mean, because that penalty kill, up until they take the too many men on the ice penalty, the penalty kill had been decent enough at that point on that power play, on the Lauzon penalty in the 3rd period. Remember, it's still only a 1-0 game at this point. Lauzon takes his hat trick of a penalty. The Jets get the power play. They've got possession, but it's not like it's not like they've scored immediately on it like they did, those couple games where they were scoring 6 seconds and 8 seconds into a man advantage. In fact, it took until Nashville takes the too many men penalty for the power play to really execute and put the puck in the net, which they did very easily and very quickly at that point in time. It's just, I mean, this isn't a young team, Nashville. This is a veteran hockey team making just brain dead mistakes at points in time where it's a 1-goal game, Dave. This is a 1-0 game at that point in time. You kill that penalty, who knows what happens. Instead, they just take that. That's just inexcusable as far as I'm concerned.
Again, this Nashville team is not recognizable. I really didn't expect them to be this bad. And they've got a lot of nice pieces, but none of them, they just don't work too well together. And look, remember when all the geniuses are declaring teams winners after free agency.
Yeah. On July 2nd. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always like, well, don't they have to play games? Like, I understand that you want to figure it out now, but they make these statements, these grandiose statements. And it's like, well, no, again, you're seeing the benefit. One of the things Scott Arneal's talked about was the benefit of Scheifele and Connor and how the familiarity has worked so well. And obviously there's other factors to it, but I'm not saying that Nashville can't get it turned around by, next year or something like that. But right now, this team is, they don't look, if it wasn't for UC Saros, that game would have been blown right open. And again, you're right, Drew. Jets didn't have a ton of grade A chances. And I agree with Scott Arneal. There was a little bit of pace every once in a while to this hockey game, a little bit more in the second. And but ultimately, if you're watching that hockey, that Nashville team, that's tough right now because they just don't seem to have. The one word I was thinking of is identity. They don't really have an identity. What are they?
Yeah, as he said that earlier.
That's what I mean. I agree with Ez.
You're both correct. Well, how about the 3rd period? It's a 1-goal game. Jets are leading 1-0. Mm-hmm. 3rd period, the Nashville Predators had 0 high danger chances. I mean, the more desperate team is supposed to step up and stand out at some point in time. Who needs that win more, the Jets or the Predators? I mean, obviously the Jets, both teams want it, but if the Jets end up losing that game, which they clearly didn't, people are like, oh, that sucks, that's disappointing. But it's not like it's a detriment for the rest of their season. For Nashville, that's just an inexcusable 3rd period as far as I'm concerned.
It's inexcusable, and it's also inexcusable for this team to be at second last in the Central Division at this point in the season, right? With all of the money, as Drew mentioned, even a guy like Brady Shea got a big contract, right? So it's really hard to believe. Not as hard. I'll be honest, I haven't watched a ton of Preds. I've really only watched the Preds when they've played the Jets this year. Mm-hmm. But watching them more, especially in that 3rd period, there's just where was the urgency? And again, let's not take anything away from the Jets. I thought the Jets, again, these are not sexy words, but they played a well-structured game and basically took away the middle of the ice and really didn't let Nashville get any second. I really didn't think they got a lot of second chances for the majority of the game, right? Like you go back and we talked about, this was, not one of those, Connor Hellebuck 45 save shutouts, right? But you go back, remember the Luke Evangelista chance when he had his own rebound? That was a really good chance. You think to that power play, Philip Forsberg had a good chance. Roman Josi had a good scoring chance.
As his camera's gone.
Yeah, not sure what's happening. That's what happened, guys. I get excited and then I start hitting buttons that I shouldn't be hitting. But yeah, Drew's coughing. I'm signing out. I'm losing my camera feed. Lots going on here. But at the end of the day, the Jets take advantage of a 5-on-3 power play. Like that's the TSN turning point. I know we're not on TSN radio anymore, but I mean, like Drew said, this was a completely wide open game. Obviously, Dylan DeMello. We got to talk about. I'm not sure. If Drew's going to give him the Seagram shot of the game, but I think we should be giving him the shot of the game just because that was just beautiful. And you'd love to see him get his first of the year, and it turns out to be the game winner.
Well, why don't we get into the goal-by-goal recap? But for a while there, it didn't seem like there were going to be that many goals to go into, but now we got 3 we have to talk about here on the Illegal Curve post-game show presented by Play Now. We remind you to learn to bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Sign up and get up to $250 in bonus bets. Conditions apply, 18+. Enjoy responsibly. Along with Dave Manouk and Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mindell. There's almost 500 of you live watching us now here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. If you're new here, if you haven't regularly joined us, be sure to smash the like button. Be sure to subscribe. We're going to do this again tomorrow night. We do it after each and every Winnipeg Jets game, and we do it again on Saturday morning with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. So be sure to be here, and the best way to do that is to subscribe, and you'll never miss a minute.
Hold on. I have breaking news. Illegal Curve has officially hit 7,000 YouTube subscribers.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's get 8,000 though. Come on.
Yeah, we should have 8,000 by the end of the show. It's only reasonable that way. In any event, thank you for everyone for their support and everything else. We appreciate that. Let's get into it. It's the goal-by-goal recap here on the Illegal Curve post-game show.
The Play Now game recap.
Normally, I try not to cough into everyone's ears, and I'll do my best not to. But I'm struggling. Playing hurt, as the old saying goes here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. First period, more of a feeling out period. I thought Nashville had the jump early in that period. I had some notes, written about that. The Jets sort of looked a little bit on their heels to start. Again, the Predators though, just when they had their opportunities, I thought they just didn't take advantage of them.
Sure.
So some of that is Connor Hellebuck, no question. It seemed like he was in their head before the game even started. Like they were that you have to beat Connor Hellebuck, you have to be perfect, and the enemy of great is perfection or something like that. So rather than just being great, they were trying to be perfect, and perfect didn't work for them. And the Jets, were able to find their skating legs eventually. In that first period, they started to be able to work their forecheck a little bit more, started to be able to grind a little bit more on the Predators. First period ends, no blood on either side, and the shots were even at 9 shots apiece. I guess your thoughts, Dave, you were in the building on that first period and the flow of the game. Jeremy Lauzon took his tripping penalty at the 11-12 mark of that first period. Josh Morrissey, he took a high sticking penalty in that first period as well. Worth mentioning, of course, again, for those who may not have heard in the pregame lead up in the preamble to this, the Predators entered tonight's game with the NHL's best penalty kill.
Yeah, so it was an opportunity to see best on best, the best power play in the league versus the best PK in the NHL. And one thing about Nashville, you definitely have to give. I know that their penalty kill failed them in the third, but they're very aggressive. Like they really were aggressive.
I was going to say, Dave, it's probably the most aggressive kill I've seen this year. Like,
yeah,
led by Ryan O'Reilly, right?
Yeah. Although again, like I said, it is amazing when you look at the names on that roster and how unremarkable so many of those guys were in tonight's hockey game. But the first period, there were, like I said, there were some. It was just kind of a weird flow to it, and again, nothing particularly interesting. I remember, like I said, I was talking to Judy and I said, what have you even written about this first period? Like, I feel bad. I'm like, you have to write about this right now. And she's just like, well, Davo. And she went through kind of her list of things. And she's like, there wasn't a lot. Let's put it that way. I mean,
Judy's a veteran.
I was going to say,
She kept writing about how there's this pest next to me in the press box asking me what I'm going to write about.
She's like, Dave, I'm trying to write. Can you shut up?
Judy's the best. Like, I don't go to as many games as Dave. Obviously, since we've had kids, I don't go to as many games in the press box. But for anybody that knows that goes in the media, she's always giving everybody candy, right, Dave? So you know that if Judy has a lot of candy and food, that you're in for a good night.
Yeah, but like I said, it was a tight first period. That's the best word I would use to sum up the first. Not particularly exciting, and like you said, Drew, you feel bad for the prime audience because. And then the other thing I realized was, like, I didn't realize how much of a delay it was. Because, like I said, we've got the TVs above us in the press box. So I'm watching the game. I'm watching the Jumbotron. And I was like, well, and then I looked at the TV. I was like, well, you guys are like 35 seconds behind. So, and then people were saying that they were getting notifications. Of course, there wasn't a lot happening in the first. So they didn't have to worry about them. They didn't have to worry about those notifications.
Yeah, those Budweiser red lights that some people have would have flashed 30 seconds before the goal actually appeared on the screen. But in any event, it was. But
the only thing I would say notable, and we probably should mention it, was that they honored Mark Scheifele for being named NHL's first star of the week. So second time in his career, first time since 2018. Boys, he had 4 goals, 2 assists in 2 games for the Jets. So named NHL's first star, number 55. Crowd give him a big round of applause.
Okay, there you go. Dave M is always
giving you that flavor, boys. Giving you that flavor.
Second period, again, not a lot happening for a lot of that period until Dylan DeMello. I mean, this has got to be. I saw our buddy Jay Bell tweeted this.
By the way, Jay texted me and he said he wanted credit. I said, "Don't worry, Jay. It made me laugh out loud, so I'm going to give you credit." But I'm glad you are, Drew.
There you go. So Jay Bell tweeted that if you had this trio combining for a goal in tonight's game, it paid something like 2.5 trillion to 1 with our friends at Play Now. Dylan DeMello getting his first of the year, his first since scoring last year against the Nashville Predators.
Yeah.
So Dylan DeMello gets his first of the year assist to Morgan Barron and Logan Stanley. Logan Stanley now has 5 assists as compared to Morgan Barron's 2 assists. So, good.
He's on a 2-game heater, Drew.
He's on a heater. There's no question about it. And this is just such a soft play by the Predators. Great shot by Dylan DeMello. In fact, before we get into the nitty gritty of it, let's give him this.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Yes.
Big thanks to as it was always going to Dylan DeMello. And when you get your first of the year, especially when it's in game, what is this, 38 of the season?
He went bar down. It was a beauty shot.
Yeah, it was a great shot. No question about it. He was going to get you. He was the runaway leader in the clubhouse for the Seagram shot of the game. I mean, Velarde's goals were nice, but Velarde's had his moment in the sun. It's Dylan DeMello who gets to tip back some Seagrams here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. I wonder what he's going to choose. Maybe he's going to go classy with Seagram's 83, Seagram's VO, or maybe he's going to, spice up the night on New Year's Eve with a little bit of Fireball. Whatever it is, whatever you drink it responsibly. Big thanks to Seagram's for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's just a soft play by Jonathan Marchessault. He just throws it up the boards. Logan Stanley keeps it in. He puts it down to Barron. Barron on one leg, spins off Marchessault again. Feeds it across to DeMello, and then a great shot by DeMello. But, if you're Nashville, you're relying on guys like, Marchessault and Steven Stamkos, who got beat by Stanley on this play as well. You're relying on these guys, and they're just getting beat by really bottom of the roster players for the Winnipeg Jets. To lead to the DeMello goal. Just, symptomatic of what has ailed the Predators all season long, as
100%, Drew. And, Morgan Barron obviously makes a beautiful pass to DeMello, and we already talked about it, and we can talk about it again. It's just a beautiful shot for his first goal of the year. But, Logan Stanley, he's been criticized a lot, and we got to give him credit here because not only does he keep the puck in, as Drew mentioned, Jonathan Marchessault just with a pathetic clearing attempt, but it's because Logan Stanley gives it to Morgan Barron, and then he moves in and that makes everybody kind of focus on Stanley, right? So Stanley, I think his play at the blue line, Dave, allowed Dylan DeMello because Dylan DeMello had so much time and space to move in from the blue line, right? So you got to give Stanley. He made a really nice play on this goal.
Yeah, and you're right, as that, you know, when you pillory a guy, you have to give him credit. And I thought he was good in the game. And I know Drew and I were joking when I saw Stanley was the second pairing defenseman with Neil Pionk. I said something tells me their Corsi is going to end up being the best. Now I know it wasn't, Drew's, but I'm just saying, like, it was just funny though, because
for a while
in the first period it was.
Yeah,
in the first period I think it was. And I just was like laughing. I was like, well, wouldn't that be, because there were a lot of folks who were not happy, of course. And I just was like, well, this is exactly how it's going to end up being. But yeah, no, nice play by Stanley to keep it in. Morgan Barron, you know, one of the players I think who we've been wondering, you know, why is he in the lineup? Because he's got to be doing more, is Morgan Barron, right? Like, not that why is he in the lineup, but he's, you know, his spot shouldn't be guaranteed if he's not producing. And I think that you're right, Drew. I think he's been more noticeable of late. And it was a nice play and a nice pass. And Dylan DeMello got to feel good again for him. And like you said, you know, his first goal since the game against Nashville 41 games ago, I think is what they said. It was one of the last games in April of last season. So he hasn't scored very much lately, but that's okay when you get that goal. That really, like I said, got the crowd up and out of their chairs and got the building real pumped up. So created a buzz, and it kind of woke the Jets up, I thought, a little bit, and you know, for after a little bit of a sleepy one for the most part.
Yeah, and that comes late in the second period with 2 minutes and 42 seconds to go. So it's always nice to score late in the period, and the Jets have that 1-0 lead after 40 minutes. They do take a penalty at the buzzer. Logan Stanley gets called for slashing right at the end of the second period,
which is weird because they actually originally called it against Nito Niederreiter.
And then they put it back. Then
it was I know.
Stanley. Yeah.
I honestly didn't notice it all because then the broadcast went to the intermission, right? So
it's like, the only reason I saw it is same thing as he is because I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it was weird because we were like, I was just getting ready to leave to come to the house to watch the third period, but it was funny because in the press box they're saying we all thought it was Logan Stanley who took the penalty, but then they put on the board Nino Niederreiter. So we're like 64-62. Did someone make a mistake? They're human too. They make mistakes. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, there you go. So the Predators start the third period with a power play, golden opportunity to get that goal back, get back into this game. Reader, they do not. Editor's note, they do not. The Jets kill off that penalty, and really the Jets just controlled the third period. And then Jeremy Lauzon takes his third penalty of the game. That comes at the 12:17 mark. Of this one, and then a minute, and so the Predators do a good job. Again, they are perfect on the penalty kill so far. They've killed off 3 penalties to this point that they've taken, and that's usually a recipe for disaster against the Winnipeg Jets. So they've killed off 3. They kill off more than half of Lauzon's penalty. They kill off a minute 12 of it. So they've killed off almost more than 3.5 penalties, and then they just take a too many men on the ice penalty, and this point in time was game over. The last, it was just, you saw them take this penalty. Jets now have a 5-on-3, and it's not like this isn't a judgment call penalty. Like the refs don't want to put the Predators down 5-on-3 in this situation. But too many men on the ice was just so blatant. They just had 5 guys in playing defense, despite them being shorthanded. You saw the bench. They showed the replay on the broadcast. The prime broadcast of the Jets are all hooting and hollering, and there was no chance that the officials could miss this one. And then the Jets take advantage. 15 seconds into it, it's Gabe Vilardi, his 16th of the year, assist to Nikolai Ehlers, and assist to Kyle Connor as well. And this one is just noticeable for the it's for the box out that Gabe Vilardi performs here on an undersized defenseman in Nick Blankenburg. He just absolutely is like a high school senior playing against the JV team. He's a lot larger than Blankenburg is, and he just boxes him out and takes the pass and deposits the pass UC Saros to give the Jets the 2-0 lead, Dave.
Yeah, and it's just, again, it's just that it's the opportunity. Well, first of all, the Preds were pissed because they felt they cleared the puck. Right. And the puck should have been, they thought the face. I mean, it is funny how that works, though, right?
Should have been out of
They
the
thought
zone
the face-off
rather
should have
than
been
in the zone. Yeah.
right, and that is a significant, change of position. Obviously, says Captain Obvious as he. But the fact of the matter is, they don't get what they wish for, and the Jets. Look, the Jets power play, I thought had some good looks, some good opportunities. There were some questionable plays, but ultimately, they were creating. But again, the PK was very aggressive. But they had those like you said, Drew. You can't give a team like Winnipeg that many opportunities, and you certainly can't give them a 5-on-3.
Well, and I agree with. Sorry, Drew. I was just going to say I agree with you completely. Like that's a huge mismatch to have the smaller. Like again, I'll give Nick Blankenberg credit. I think he's been impressive. I think he was previously on Columbus, right, boys? But I think in that particular case, like you need a bigger defenseman on Velarde. Like Velarde's a lot to handle.
Yeah.
We've talked about him a lot this year, whether he's in the bumper slot, whether he's down low near the goal line.
Yeah.
But again, like to me, guys, just kind of looking at this game at a macro level, like the Predators were just flirting with danger here. Like that's what they were doing. Like Drew said, they kill off the first 3 penalties, and then you give the Jets the 5-on-3 opportunity. It's like, okay, yeah, this is a great opportunity for us to get the insurance marker, right? And that's what they did. And yeah, it was just good, great execution. And for the Jets, like the Jets now, like as I was like, we've said this before, but like when any team has a 5-on-3, they should expect to score. But really, with the Jets power play and the way it's been this year, it's almost automatic that they're going to score on a 5-on-3 at this point.
And for the record, did that not look identical to the setup? Not quite as crisp that Ehlers sent over to Velarde the last game, where they scored that almost very similar goal. And the funny part was that Velarde said to Ehlers, I thought, I mean, I'm not a lip reader as he, so I'm not going to be saying it was perfect, but he did say, I thought he said same goal because it was very similar. And you saw Ehlers' body language if you watch the replay, because you can see he's mad at himself because that pass is not as crisp as he wanted it to be.
No, I was going to say he kind of whiffs on it.
That's what I mean. It's not the kind of pass he wanted, but it's good enough to get over to, and we'll talk about another of his passes in a bit, but the passover gets over. The key is movement of the players and quickness. So Ehlers switches position. Like the Jets are just throwing so much at you, and it's hard when you're down to 3 defenders to try and keep track of all of these guys. I mean, there's so much talent out there. And by the way, Drew, the other thing we should mention, good use of the timeout, because the Jets chose to use their timeout. They weren't super gassed, but at the same time gave those guys an opportunity to take a break, get some rest, and then go at it. And you just like the fact that, what did it take, 15 seconds for them to get that goal? Yeah. And they gave him a whole lot of time left with that 5-on-4. Not that they needed it.
Well, you know what? I'm looking at the goal visualizer, like the dots on NHL.com, which I really do like. I think it's a great feature. And Colton Sissons and Brady Shea are the other 2 Predators who are on the ice here. And they're just out of position. 5-on-3, they're just way too high up in the zone. It's like they're taking away, Morrissey's shot and Connor's shot, which is okay, fine. I mean, those are 2 dangerous players. But if you're leaving an undersized defenseman all alone down low against Gabe Velarde, it just that can't be how you want to structure your 5-on-3 defense. It just looks so. Usually, you have to 5-on-3s are difficult enough. You're the triangle, the trio needs to be so united and in sync in their defensive movements here, and the Predators clearly were not in this one. It looks like Sissons and Shea are almost freelancing, and then Blankenberg is left out to dry on it. So the Jets take advantage of it. They don't apologize, and they have a 2-0 lead with about this goal came at 13:44. So there's about just over 6 minutes to go in the third period at this point in time.
I do not agree with Chris, Jets fan, on this comment. I do not think they can still go on a run. They do have an elite goalie, but I don't think it's happening this year, Chris. But we shall see. Crazier things have happened, right? But yeah, you're right, Drew. I mean, in a 5-on-3 situation, there was a little bit too much attention being paid to Josh Morrissey for some reason, even though he has a solid shot. We know that the Jets are always trying to set up the down low play, whether it's Ehlers to Velarde or Velarde to Ehlers or to Scheifele or Connor. I mean, like we've said, it's a pick your poison power play this year for the Jets. And it goes back to what we said before.
Set up the seam. Every team's looking to set up seam passes on 5-on-3.
Oh, absolutely.
Way more than they are looking to set up point shots.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. I mean, the Jets power play is revamped, and teams are copying it. Like, you absolutely know teams. We've talked about it. We talked about it with John Goyens, right? When he broke down the Jets power play on the Saturday show.
Yeah.
The teams are looking at what the Jets are doing, and they're trying to replicate that, right? So, again, in a game in which, let's be honest, it wasn't a high event hockey game, the
Right.
Jets take advantage of the 5-on-3 and give themselves the insurance goals, right? And that's the most important thing. And there is something that's very kind of formulaic to their game right now. And in addition to the power play goals, obviously in the third period, I was just impressed with the way the Jets shut it down defensively.
Yeah.
Like, Nashville just had nothing going on. And like we said, we can go over the names again, right? O'Reilly, Stamkos, Marchessault, Forsberg, Yossi. Like, they've still got some really talented hockey players, but they were pretty flat in the third period, and that's a testament to the way the Jets played in front of Hellebuck. Hellebuck made some key saves when he needed to. He didn't have to be great; he just had to be good, and that's kind of the story of the game tonight.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The Jets then make it 3-0 a minute and 2 seconds later, still on the power play. This is now the too many men on the ice penalty being served alone. So Lausanne is out of the box. And this is, again, the Jets, they just want it more than the Nashville Predators. So you have a puck battle along the boards that Colton Sissons comes out with. The puck is clearly on Colton Sissons' stick. Scheifele just takes it from him. Great back check by Scheifele, or forecheck as the case may be, but Sissons should be able to clear this puck. It's not like he doesn't have the time to do it. He's just a little soft, a little casual. Scheifele takes the puck from him, sets it up for the Jets, and moves it around. It goes from Scheifele back to Ehlers, over to Connor, then Velarde's on the doorstep and bangs it in to make it 3-0. But Colton Sissons is a guy who's been around this league a long time at this point. He's been a member of the Nashville Predators for long enough. All things are rotten there if this is the effort that's being put forth by their veteran guys. And Mark Scheifele is just saying, okay, I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to be better. I'm going to be tougher. I'm going to want it more than you do. And that's what happened here. And the Jets get rewarded to make it 3-0.
Yeah. And, we talked about Marchessault with the porous clearing attempt on the Dylan DeMello goal. I almost said Dylan Samberg there. And you're right, Drew. I mean, Colton Sissons, that puck's on his stick.
Yeah.
And you're down 2-0 and you're still killing off the second penalty. Get the puck out, right? Like, that's just what you have to do. And like you said, it's, credit Mark Scheifele for taking the puck back from Sissons. And then again, Gabe Velarde, I put this out on X, like, let's sign him to an 8-year deal, Dave. We had the conversation on the Saturday morning show, but like, he's just fun to watch right now. And like, it never gets old watching him celebrate these power play goals with Connor, Ehlers, and Scheifele and Morrissey out there. Like, these guys are just having fun. But you're absolutely right, Dave, about that little touch pass by Ehlers. Like, you really have to focus in on what Ehlers is doing. Like, not only is he one of the fastest guys in the league, but what he's doing with his stick, these little one-touch passes, like, you really have to focus in and appreciate the ingenuity and just the
skill,
the genius of he's a phenomenal hockey player. But yeah, there was a lot of good things going on there. But going back to what you said originally, Drew, Nashville was just not making it easy on themselves, taking all these penalties, and then when Sissons has an opportunity to clear it, that's if he gets that out, it's 2-0 still, and then maybe you're still in the game. But again, give the Jets credit for taking advantage.
The only thing I would add, and I know Ed just stole my point, but you really need to highlight that Ehlers play, because that is
ridiculous, Dave.
It is a very skilled play by Nikolai Ehlers to do that, and so you got to give him full marks on getting that puck over, because it's a very good play by him, and just again exemplifies how skilled he is. And the power play this is a ruthless power play. Remember, everyone's like, oh, it can't stay. I mean, let's be real. It couldn't stay at 50%. That we understood. It was never going to stay there.
Can stay at 30% though.
Well, it's 35 right now, I think.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what
it's even better.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, at home ice it's probably around 37, 38. But the fact of the matter is that this Jet, you just can't take penalties. And it's somewhat unfortunate for UC Saros, because I thought he had a strong game and you know,
32.5%. I don't know if that includes tonight's.
It probably doesn't include tonight because I think that's what it was before. But
okay.
The fact of the matter is that the Jets' power play continues to be a boon. I thought, and you want to credit the other unit. I thought that they had some good looks. And by the way, speaking of things that got a credit, Vlad Demesnikov deserves credit because he blocked that shot.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay, who are they going to get from the Moose now? Because Demesnikov looks like
it was a Roman Josi shot. It wasn't just anybody's shot. It was a Roman Josi
fueled by the dinner.
Josi's got one of the hardest shots in the league.
Fueled by the dinner made for him by Nino Niederreiter's girlfriend. So he was fueled by Swiss food last night. Talking about the Spengler Cup as
Maybe
Nino
they got
Niederreiter.
Swiss Chalet, Dave.
I don't know. That's a good point. I should have asked him that, Ezzy, actually. That's good. Apparently, Weber asked him about the dinner, so maybe he got the insight. But
we've had dinner with Weber before. That's always a dangerous.
Yeah, it ends with spilled wine all over my shirt. I'm wearing that shirt next time Weber's on the show.
I think it's the 10-year anniversary of that, right? Because that was the 2014 draft.
That'd be the 11-year. We're coming up on
2025 Ezzy tomorrow. It's going to be 2025.
Yeah. So, anyways, but it's again, like I said, it's the Jets' power play is spectacular. We talked about how good it should have been last year. It wasn't. This year, of course, it's something we've been talking about almost every game.
Yeah. 5th shutout of the year for Connor Hellebuyck. Just ho-hum.
42nd of his career.
Yeah, he's at 299 now for wins. So, his next. It's unlikely that he's going to start tomorrow. We'll talk about that after the break.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say that.
Seriously, have they ever awarded the Vezina Trophy after half of a season?
What about the Vezina? Can we talk about the Hart?
Well, I mean, he absolutely deserves the Hart. He won't get it.
It's so funny because but I will say,
are you talking about our friend Hart, or are you talking about the trophy Hart?
But the irony, and I understand we're still doing the recap, and we can talk about this on the other side of the break. But I wouldn't say that anybody in the league is run away with the Hart this year. It's not like not like there's anyone who's scoring 70 goals, 80 goals, and you're like, okay, well, they're gonna win it. To me, I kind of think it's linked.
It's kind of Nathan McKinnon's trophy right now.
Yeah, but McKinnon's got 60 points, but you're right. Yeah. I mean, if
I would say Hellebuyck at the very least is in the top 3 conversation.
Well,
I think he deserves.
I would put him in the top 3.
If voters want to be honest and actually award it to the most valuable player, it's Connor Hellebuyck. Now, unfortunately, voters say, well, the goalies get the goalie award and the skaters get the skater award, unless it's a rarity.
I mean, wasn't a lot? Carey Price was the last goalie who won, right? I think
it was a long time ago.
And then before that, it was Jose Theodore.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're talking how many years ago now?
Basically
30 years ago.
Yeah. Well, not for Carey Price, but
not for Carey Price. But I mean, it just doesn't go to goalies, but it should go to Connor Hellebuyck. There's no question about it.
I mean, let's be realistic, and everybody in the chat, and there's so many of you, and we appreciate you guys being here, girls being here. But the truth is, as anybody who listens to Connor Hellebuyck, the only trophy he cares about is the Stanley Cup. So if he wins the Hart, if he wins the Vezina, it's not going to mean anything. We know he's only got his eyes focused on one prize.
That's true. But here's the numbers just before we go to break. Connor Hellebuyck, his league-leading 5th shutout of the season. No other goalie has more than 3 shutouts. 25 wins. Next closest is 19. Goal save above expected, 32.4. Next closest is 21.
Absurd.
So he's leading the next closest in goals saved above expected by 11.4. And his save percentage is .930. The next closest is .920.
I mean, you can give him the Vezina now. That much is assured. But
Dave, I'll say this much though: if he keeps this up, and he will for sure be at least a Hart finalist. If he keeps this pace up with his wins and his goal save,
I agree.
Expected,
I agree.
Right, you could argue that he should have been a Hart Trophy finalist last year.
I don't know how you don't give him the Hart Trophy. I mean, that's
I agree. With
I don't know that and that's the only thing. I just don't know how you make him a finalist, but you don't give him you don't acknowledge him with the full trophy. If anybody's going to do the double, if anyone's going to get the Hart and the Vezina in the same year, something that has not happened in a very, very long time, Connor Hellebuyck is certainly the leading candidate for that by a country mile. When we come back, the Jets are next in action tomorrow night against the Colorado Avalanche.
NYE, baby.
Yeah, New Year's Eve in Denver. We'll talk about that next. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, the Illegal Curve postgame show presented by Play Now rolls on.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this. without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in two unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal, starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
Couple more Connor Hellebuyck tidbits here as we come back on the Illegal Curve post-game show. These are courtesy of the NHL PR Twitter account. It's usually good for some Dave Minuk-esque random stats. Connor Hellebuyck now he's become the first goaltender in NHL history to record 3 winning streaks of 6+ games in a single season before New Year's Day. So
wow.
Think about that for a second. That New Year's Day is, of course, Thursday.
Yeah.
Right? Did I get the dates right? I'm very confused. I've been up since 4:30 in the morning.
No, it's Wednesday.
Well, no, New Year's Eve. Right.
No, New Year's Day is Wednesday.
Yeah, New Year's Day is Wednesday. Sorry. So Connor Hellebuyck has already had 3 winning streaks of 6+ games this season already. The most in a single NHL season is 4. That was by Sergei Bobrovsky a couple of years ago. Let me see if I can find the exact year that happened for Bobrovsky. 21-22. So 4 is the most from any goaltender. Connor Hellebuyck still has 40 some odd games in which he can possibly match that.
Wow. He's going to get that record too.
Well, the way the Jets have been playing, who's betting against that at this point in time?
Not I, not many people. It's just incredible. Like we said, if they gave out trophies after half of a season, he's most likely getting the Vezina, the Jennings, and the Hart. But like Dave said, there's another piece of silverware that Hellebuyck and the rest of the Jets want a lot more. We all know what piece of silverware that is. But yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. And honestly, I was kind of thinking about this the other day. We're just really lucky that we get to watch him play every single game, night in and night out, right? Like for so many years, that was the knock, especially on the Jets 1.0, right? Was that they never really had, aside from maybe Bobby Essenza and
Abby Boulin
for 1 year,
Yeah.
That's never really had a goaltender like Hellebuck. That's for sure.
No, that's
You're
true.
right, Desi. I think that's a very good point. And even this entire season, look, we know that for everybody, the organization, Jets fans, it really does all come down to playoffs, and that's not going to happen until April. So in the interim, enjoy what you're watching.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't happen every year. There's a lot of years we've seen them. There's a lot of teams that are really bad.
Yeah.
And you could have to watch those teams night in, night out instead. So, we don't, we generally don't go raw pom-poms here on the program, but just on the human level, enjoy what they're doing because it doesn't happen all the time. And yeah, April matters the most and the playoffs and everything else. And if they flame out there, then you can rip out your hair justifiably so, but don't just, overlook this or ignore this or not enjoy this just because it hasn't happened in April just yet.
Well,
that
and
would be,
further to your point, Drew,
that.
I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking more and more about this, but the Jets are going to have a good chance to have the best regular season record ever. Like the Jets, with what they're doing now, what's the record? 62 wins, 63 wins. Well, no, I'm not saying they're going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that right now they're on pace to do it.
But not only that, but I was looking at this before, I think it was after the Ottawa win, the Jets' most wins they've ever had twice, of course, last year, and in 17-18 was 52. Now, one year they finished.
They're going to shatter that.
They finished with 114 points in 17-18. They finished with 110 points last year. Yeah. But now, even if they maintain this pace, which was I think they're at a 715 winning percentage, they maintain this pace. I think it was something crazy. It was 62 wins or something like that. Right. So I'm not saying they're going to get
the record. If I'm
not right, the Red Wings record, right? So Lightning, sorry, that's what I meant. But yeah, the fact of the matter is,
what happened?
no, of course, yeah, again,
happened.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is that this is what they're doing is
enjoy it.
It's remarkable because remember. Again, the experts, not us. If you remember, you can go back and listen to what we said. Although Drew was I think Drew picked the Jets to finish fourth, just saying. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of the so-called experts were poo-pooing. And look, as Drew just said, the Jets have a lot more to do. This team is not interested in, and folks in Winnipeg aren't interested in a team that is a really good regular season team. But in order to be a playoff team, you have to make it to the playoffs. And what they're doing right now is pretty spectacular.
Well, they're going to finish 2024, the calendar year, with the most wins of any NHL team. So again, just enjoy that. Revel in that as you celebrate the new year with us tomorrow on the Illegal Curve post-game show after the Jets and the Colorado Avalanche. That game time is, of course, 7:00, which means post-game is going to be around 9:30, 9:40, somewhere in and around that time frame. Enjoy that. Enjoy the Jets and the Avs. We'll be back here tomorrow. We don't know the starting goalie. I assume it's Eric Comrie. Dave, what? Oh, sorry, you. I saw something on Twitter that you put out about Arneal maybe tipping his hand and then trying not to tip.
Not maybe tipping his hand. He tipped his hand.
Okay.
So Mike,
Comrie's playing tomorrow.
Yeah. So Kelly Moore of CJOB asked him, "Would you consider going back to back?" And his response, because he had asked who his goaltending plan, he wouldn't reveal it, and he said, "Well, would you consider going with Connor Hellebuck back to back?" And he said, "Without the Four Nations, I would consider it, but because of the Four Nations, I won't." So he goes, I'm not going to tell you who, but I kind of just did. So yes, Eric Comrie will start. It is not official, but it's kind of unofficially official. So Eric Comrie will get the start. And like I said, presuming that Vlad Nemesnikov is fine, we may see some changes in terms of the lineup, in terms of defense. We'll see. But Dylan Coghlan, we should probably mention him. He had a pretty solid game, I thought. I know his analytics didn't necessarily.
He got better as the game went on, I thought.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it's only his second NHL game, right? Everybody else has played for the most part, not all of them, of course, but a lot of guys have played 38 NHL games. He's played 2 NHL games, 2 AHL games. But yeah, I mean, I thought he was good on the right side, and And he's a good little player. He's smart, and
he had a sequence in the third period. There was a sequence sort of later in that third period. I think after the Jets had already made it 3-0, so Nashville basically had given up. But he had a good sequence there where I think he kept the puck in, and he worked at the cycle, and even he took a shot. There was a bit of a high shot. It sailed over the net, but at least it was a noticeable sequence for all the right reasons, and that's what you want from a guy who's only played a grand total of four hockey games so far this year.
Yeah, exactly. And that I did, like I said, I just thought like I said, he had a solid game for a guy who hasn't played a lot of hockey, and that's what you need, and that's what you want when you don't know that Dylan Sandberg and probably Drew. The other thing we should mention by way of an update from Scott Arneal today was about Dylan Sandberg. I'll get the quote exactly, so I won't be speculating, because Sandberg actually, I was down at the Canada Life Center for morning skate, or the optional morning skate, I should say, and took a video. Sandberg's skating looked good, but he did appear to pour some cold water on the sentiment that he was taking his next step in the progression. He said, no, he's still every other day right now. That was just because of ice availability, just being the early game today, and he was told to stay away from everybody else. But he's not there yet. He's not yellow jerseyed. I know that was a verb, but not yellow jerseyed to come in and practice with us. So there you go.
Right, Dave,
Dylan Sandberg.
I know you have to cover this for the website, and everyone wants to know about Sandberg. Like, can we just let it go for a couple? Like, clearly he's going to be
never, Ezra.
No.
Never.
I'm not saying, like, I understand that we have to ask the questions, right? Well, because I don't go to the Jets practices, you ask the questions, but
because I'm not allowed in the building.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it's clearly going to be a week to 2 weeks, right, Dave? Like, I don't think anybody's expecting him.
No, I agree with you.
It's almost like the question was asked. I'm not sure who asked it, but
return to the lineup tomorroh against the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, he's still a non-contact, right?
Yeah, I know he's a while. He's still a bit away.
My guess is a couple weeks.
I think that seems. I know we were talking maybe like against the Red Wings, whatever, but I think I agree with you, as I think it's going to be still a little ways away. But look, right now the Jets. It's ironic because you wondered. I looked at Nashville, how they'd done since that game. They beat the Jets, first Central team to beat the Jets. Maybe they're going to use that as their impetus to kind of go on a run. But I think they're like 4-9-1 since. And of course, the Jets, while they haven't been fantastic since Sandberg's injury, now today's win makes them 10-6-1. So and as we discussed, that's I think 6 wins in the last 7 games. It's either 5 or 6. No, it's 6 or 7, I think. So the Jets have got this, it appears to be at least, turned around and feeling good. And again, this is without Dylan Sandberg, without Hayden Fleury. So, guys are stepping up and taking more responsibility. And and the Jets are getting wins as a result.
Yeah, that they are. The Jets will look to end 2024 on a high note tomorrow night against the Colorado Avalanche. A divisional
high
game.
note?
We will have, well, not Dan High Note, but we will have it here, the post-game show live, coming to you around 9:30, 9:45 or so tomorrow night. So be sure to join us, as we'll be back here for that again. Big thanks to all of you for joining us. Tons of you here tonight. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast, leave us feedback here, there, and everywhere. And we always like when you do that. We appreciate it. And support our sponsors. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. They'll have 2 shows on New Year's Eve, 7 o'clock and 10:15 p.m. Tickets available, rumorscomedyclub.com. Play Now, they're the title sponsor here of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Holt Dental, Boston Pizza. We'll be back at Boston Pizza in a couple weeks' time. So stay tuned for more information about that. City Place, we'll be in City Place in a couple weeks' time as well. Stay tuned for more information about
the Vancouver game, right?
The Vancouver game. That's right. Yep. That's coming up. I think it's almost, I think it's 2 weeks from
2
tomorrow,
weeks,
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2 weeks from tomorrow. The Vancouver game on that Tuesday. We'll be live at City Place at lunch hour. And of course, Seagram's, Dylan DeMello. He gets the Seagram shot of the game tonight. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to all
Drew, one sec, though. You got to mention one thing.
Okay.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minute Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
No, I only did that because tomorrow, the Moose game yesterday was terrible. I'm not even going to talk about that game, Ezzy. That game was abysmal. And I had to run from Jets practice to the Moose game. So it was awful. But I will tell you that if you want to join me, maybe my main man, Ezzy Ginsburg, will join me tomorrow. But if you want to join me tomorrow, little New Year's Eve early celebration, 4:00, Moose take on this Texas Stars, closing out 2024, live fireworks inside the building. And we've got 4 tickets in the illegal curve zone for free for anyone who wants to go. So if you want to go to the Moose game and you want to end New Year's with myself, maybe Ezzy, maybe even Drew, then you're welcome to just send me an email, Dave at Illegal Curve, or IC Dave on our various social medias. But Moose,
I'm excited about the idea of fireworks in the building. I gotta be. Once you said fireworks in the building, I was like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah. There's gonna be some fireworks in the building. I don't know if there's gonna be like fireworks on the ice. Tyrell Bauer had a pretty damn good fight as the last game against.
That was a long fight. You don't see fights last that long.
I'm actually surprised Ezzy didn't want to hit the button. Yeah, it was Alex Petrovic. I'm surprised. 2 big boys, 6'4". T. Conapoli. Shocked he hasn't mentioned it in the chat. Ezzy was in the building, folks. He could have done a Manuk Moose minute or
popcorn sales went up.
Popcorn sales went up.
Beer sales.
Vodka sales went up. Beer sales went up.
Yeah, it was the Hanukkah game. Yeah, that's right.
It was Hanukkah night at
Happy 6th night.
Yeah, exactly.
I still have to go light my candles. So let's end the show.
Everyone go light your candles. It's the festival of lights, the celebration of lights. Thanks everyone for joining us. For Dave Manouk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. We'll see everybody tomorrow night. Hopefully by then I'll stop coughing. Plenty more to come on illegalcurve.com. Until then, good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.